Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. This is our preview for Only Murders in the Building, Season 4, Episode 2. Good news, everyone. For everybody worried that Only Murders is not going to happen in the building anymore, we have an Arconia focused episode coming, at least in theory. Maybe they will swerve. We do not need any swerving here, guys.
No, we don't. It's got to be in the building. It's called Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
Like the murder happened in the building. So while it makes sense that we have some of our investigation outside of the building because Saz didn't live in the building, at the same time, it happened in the building. So it's going to be nice to have an episode, so early on back in the building.
I feel reasonably hopeful that this is going to be a chance for us to check in, maybe on some characters who, for me personally, I want to see a lot of Uma. Uma. I want to see a lot of Lester.
Lester.
We can chant every single name.
Howard.
I want to see all these people. I want to spend time with the residents, but also beyond just like our nostalgia for them. It's important that we do spend time with them because Saz did die in the building. Someone may have saw something, someone may have heard something, because there are still some big questions that are coming out of the final moments of the premiere.
Okay, but before we get into all that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We have 3 Only Murders in the Building videos coming to you every single week. Every Tuesday at 9 a.m. You are going to get our review here at the channel. Later that same day, you're going to be here having a preview. So, be sure to be subscribed to that. And then on Wednesdays, we are also going to have a theory video for you every single week. So hit that subscribe button and help support the channel.
Yeah, and if you guys do want to support us further, be sure to join our Patreon. We have a link in the description below for that. And right now, we are running a poll as to which show we should cover exclusively on Patreon. The choices are Tulsa King, The Penguin, and then also The Old Man on FX. Like I said, one of those we will cover exclusively on Patreon. Join there, $5 a month. It is a great way to help support us further. And thank you to those of you who have.
I actually just finished watching The Old Man. I watched it in like one day. It was so good.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I'm just getting into it right now, and it's so far so good. But yeah, I'm really, really early on in the process here.
Also, if you're looking for just some other thriller, murder mystery type shows, we're going to be covering Slow Horses. That's coming up next, like Tuesday night. It's very soon, September 4th. Something that Matt really loves. He's turned me on to this show. It's so fun, really great.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, great cast. Anyways, let's get into Only Murder. So here is the synopsis for the next episode.
Okay.
Mabel and Oliver begin investigating Arconia's West Tower and get trapped inside an ominous game. Meanwhile, Charles is visited by 2 individuals from his complex past. So let's start breaking it down. Let's get into who are these people that are coming back from Charles's past? And it's a complex past, so it kind of makes me, let's get on our tinfoil hats.
All right, nice and early. Okay, let's do it.
Is it going to be somebody where the complexity of the past is also with Saz? Are we looking at somebody like Cookie or Jan?
I think there's a reasonable possibility. I think it really all comes down to how far back are we going? Because to me, Cookie is the most interesting because this is a character we have heard a decent amount about over the years. We haven't really gotten to spend any time with them, so there's a lot of insight. Because Charles, it's kind of funny. We're speaking about the old man here. Charles is an old man, and while Steve Martin may be ageless, this is a guy who has gone through a lot, and I think it's pretty fair to say, and we'll probably uncover this more as the season goes along, he's probably got some skeletons in his closet. He's probably done a lot of things over the course of his several decades he's not proud of. Like maybe back when he first became Brazos, he became this big star. His ego got the best of him. He was big time in people left and right. We don't know what exactly he may have done, but he probably created some enemies along the way.
I'm just going to say that with that text message that came in at the end of episode 1, it feels like it's very personal. So if we're going to have 2 people coming back from his past, and it's a really kind of complicated situation, the idea that it could be someone who's like a past lover, like a
Mhm.
Jan or a Cookie, makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, his relationship with Jan is extremely complicated. They
Yeah.
were, in a relationship together. She tried to kill him. He ended up still in a relationship with her for a while, even though she did that. And then she was dating Saz. Like, it's very complicated. Jan is definitely somebody who the show loves. The show keeps bringing her back for obvious reasons. She's very funny. She's
Yeah.
got, a very important connection to Charles. So if we see her again, I'm not going to be surprised and I'm going to be very happy. She's fun to watch.
She's also
Just don't kill Charles.
she's highly dangerous. She's already tried to kill Charles before. That's
Right.
why, she's a perfect candidate to be a potential killer or somebody involved in everything that's going on, because we still don't know whether or not Charles was meant to be the target or if Saz was meant to be the target.
Yeah. Okay. So we also have Cookie, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So Cookie, for those of you who don't remember, because it's been a while, she is someone who Charles dated in his past. And then she ended up leaving Charles to be with Saz.
Mhm.
And then Saz and Cookie had a really long relationship. And then it sounds like, from Saz's point of view, that Cookie broke her heart and, left her as well. We don't know a lot about Cookie, but definitely there's some shadiness that's gone on with Cookie and both of these two people.
Yeah, and I think it would be really fun if we did get to meet Cookie, but then two, we get to have some more guest stars that maybe have not been announced publicly, because they pulled off the Scott Bakula thing really, really well. And while, we know people like Melissa McCarthy are coming, like, we also know who she's going to be playing. And so there's a little bit of a fun mystery involving Cookie and where she feels and how she sort of sits into the bigger picture. And I have to think that they introduced that name in the past for a reason, and that,
Yep.
John Hoffman, who is the showrunner, maybe had deposited something, in his old noggin here, that it was going to be an interesting name to perhaps bring back later.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, they've been saying, like, oh, who's your dream guest star to
Yeah.
have here? And they're like, oh, Catherine O'Hara. Okay, everybody wants Catherine O'Hara. And then it's like, and then you have Cookie,
Yeah.
who could be Catherine O'Hara, right? Like, is he putting that out there because he's kind of like sitting on this secret? Or he's like, okay, we got Cookie coming, we got Catherine O'Hara coming. I can't say it because it needs to be a surprise. So this interviewer is asking, like, who's your dream cast? That they're just like, Catherine O'Hara, and then they're gonna drop Cookie and it's Catherine O'Hara. That's the dream, right?
Okay, my dream, now that you mentioned Catherine O'Hara and we have Eugene Levy on this season, is
Right?
that they're gonna basically put the entire cast of a certain show, which name I cannot say because YouTube will think I'm swearing and it will get us demonetized. But can we get Amy Murphy on this season as well? Where's Dan Levy? Let's put him on too. No, I really think that would be very, very fun.
Okay, let's talk about Lucy's mom, who's somebody that, has been on the show and has a complicated past as well with Charles. The preview is not, like, the synopsis is not saying that these two people that are coming back from his past and his complicated past are the killers, or they're here to kill him, or they're here to whatever. It's just somebody who he has a complicated relationship with. And Lucy's mom is one of those people.
Right now, I'm getting very close to putting Lucy and Lucy's mom into the, oh, that was a story we never heard of again category, because it was just basically gone for all of season 3, despite it having a reasonable enough role in season 2, which, by the way, our old pal Robert Taubert, I feel like you are about to be deposited into this as well, because Jesse Williams not acknowledged at all in the premiere episode.
No, and I've said this so every season, Mabel needs to not have a love interest. She has had a love interest every single season. If she's going to have one this season, it needs to just be Robert Taubert. Like, just have it be the same person, or just don't have any for right now. I'd love to see a season where she doesn't have any, and then in season 5, she's with Theo, and we can all just move on.
I ship that. I ship
Yeah,
that.
I think a lot of us do.
Yeah, like, there's this natural connection there. Okay, I've got another couple possibilities here for the complex past. And I'm kind of thinking at this point, okay, yeah, it could be a former lover. It could be somebody who he has a romantic connection with, or it might be somebody who there's a professional connection with, because then you could also sort of fold in, his past with Saz, and maybe we get an origin story as to how the two first started to work together. Or we get an instance of some people Charles maybe big timed in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a former co-star, whether it
Mhm.
is maybe his first agent. I think you do have to be a little careful with this stuff because you don't want to necessarily step on what you already did with Ben Glenroy. You don't want to
Mhm.
do that same story again of Charles sliding somebody. But I think there's some interesting professional possibilities there.
And I think that the fact that we know that Charles has done that in his past sets up for what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like there could be somebody else that he has a really complicated past with that's connected to his business, right? But then it could also be family. We know that his sister is popping up.
Yeah.
We all saw the trailer. She's really odd. So is there a complicated past there? I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's got to be an interesting reason why we haven't heard too much about Melissa McCarthy Savage over the course. I don't know her actual name
Mhm.
on this show yet, but there's got to be a reason why we haven't heard that much about her. And so that kind of makes me think their relationship might be strained.
Okay, let's talk about the target. Is
Yeah,
it Saz? Is it Charles? The the question that we have,
yeah.
and we'll pose it to you guys too, so leave it in the comments. Do you think like that they're gonna leave who the target is as a secret like all season long? For us, it feels like it's Charles. I mean,
Yeah.
having that text at the end of it feels like it's Charles. But is there the possibility that Saz was the target and that the real target is hurting Charles, that it's not to kill Charles, but that's to start to take away things in his life around him, that this is like some crazy revenge tour of how can we hurt Charles the most? Okay, well, we can kill Saz, we can do all these things around him to then sort of isolate him and ruin his life and make him miserable.
Well, this is why I sort of am kind of contemplating this idea that maybe these people from his complex past are either former co-stars or people he's known professionally, because that kind of creates this ambiguity and furthers along this, oh, we don't know who the target is because these people could also have relationships with Saz, and this could kind of further along the who was really the target here mystery. Like, I would
Mhm.
be fine if they reveal this sooner rather than later, and then we can sort of process everything with the lens that Charles is the target. But we all know Only Murders this kind of like to leave certain things linger. Like, don't be surprised if it's episode 3, episode 4, and we still don't actually know who the target was here.
Yeah, and I think for this show being going into season 4 here, like
Yeah,
they needed to do something like this where they're making things a little bit more
yeah,
complicated. They're trying to give it a fresh new coat of paint here by being like, who knows who the target really was? Was it Saz?
yeah.
Was it Charles? That it's not just who done it, but like who was it supposed to be?
It's basically like we spent the first few seasons playing this game of Only Murders in the Building on normal mode. And now that we've
Mhm.
done that, the game understands what we're trying to do and how skilled we are at it. So now they're making us play on hard mode where we're having to fight 10 different bosses in the span of 30 minutes and a King Toneberry is at the end and I keep dying at it over and over again. This is not a relatable story or anything that I've
But
gone
it's a
through here
very specific
at all.
story.
But no, it's like they want us to be watching the show in hard mode now, where they're throwing other complications at us because they know that we're familiar with their game, so they're gonna try to make it a little bit harder on us, which I'm more than fine with. Like we've already gone through some of our theories in our premiere reaction, and we do have that linked in the description below. But I'm still curious as to what else they're gonna throw at us.
Okay, so let's get into the second part of the synopsis where it's, Mabel and Oliver are beginning to investigate Arconia's West Tower.
Yeah,
Now, what's kind of interesting about the West Tower is, our memory is what our memory is.
yeah,
Like this show's been on a long time. We can remember some stuff, but we don't remember everything. So, bear with us here.
yeah,
West Tower, this Arconia West Tower feels like this is the first time that this has really been said, and there's a huge focus on it. We're not saying that it's never been said
yeah.
before, but because there's such a focus on it now, we're both sitting here being like,
Mhm.
how much have they mentioned the West Tower in
Yeah,
the past? Is West Tower where Jan was? Because the other side of the Arconia, we know that that's where Jan lived. We are assuming that that's where the sniper was because it's
yeah.
not on the same side of the building as Charles. That doesn't make any sense. They wouldn't be able to shoot through the window on the same side unless they're like through the wall and then through bouncing off the next side and into the window. But that's not what happened.
That's like
right?
that movie
So,
Wanted where the bullets just
right?
like bending.
That's right. I mean, wow, that's a deep point.
Yeah, I know. Why can't I remember that? And yet, like, I struggle to remember sometimes what I get up to do. I don't know.
I know, and we're here like, have they mentioned West Tower?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so they're going to be diving into the mystery of the West Tower.
It's exciting to me. This is kind of what I hope the West Tower is presented as. I used to live at this apartment complex, and there were some people I would speak to sometimes, and they would be like, "Oh, don't go to the east side of the complex. This is where all the vagrants live. This is where, people are gonna like sell you organs on the street." No, it was like it was very much established. There's like the shady side of the complex.
Right.
I want the West Tower to be really, really weird. I want like somebody roaming around the hallways with a goat costume on that's like trying to sell somebody, I don't know, ritual sacrifices. Like I want it to
Oh my
be
God.
as weird and strange and comedic. And I just want them to really go all in on this is where all of this then really out there people live.
This is where Sting is living now.
Saying you have been banished to
Yeah.
the West Tower where you
He's
have
out of the penthouse. Now he's in the West
with
Tower.
the ritualistic goat people. No, I really
Still not liking dogs.
no. I really hope that they do kind of embrace this, but it's also beyond just my own weird imagery of what this place is like. It's really important that we spend some time there because it's this big question of, okay, so you guys, Only Murders producers, you are telling us that this killer was able to take somebody out, then go down, be able to go back up, be able to find Saz's body, pull Saz's body out there, go down to the incinerator, incinerate her, and nobody saw anything? Nobody heard anything?
The biggest question I have is, did the sniper take the shot from the West Tower? Because if that's the case and Saz has that written on her desk in her
Yeah.
apartment, she knows a lot more than,
Mhm.
what she didn't tell Charles, which is nothing. Like, stop. Like, if that's where it came from, I'm going to be even more confused going into the next episode. There's going to be so many more questions that I'm going to have to go back and rewatch to see where the clues are because, like, Saz, what did you know?
I want to believe that, and this is still bad. I can't believe that maybe she thought that somebody was just watching Charles from that spot, and she didn't think that okay, somebody was sitting up there ready to snipe away, and it's a problem. But she's like, okay, I don't have to tell him right now because yeah, if she knew that it was this bad, number one, why are you going up to that apartment at all, Saz? And number two, why are you just not like pulling Charles away from the party and being like, we must talk now?
Yes, absolutely. And we have more on that in our theory video that's going to be coming up tomorrow. So be sure that you watch that of all the early suspects.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question, which is, did anyone actually see the killer or hear the body being moved or anything like that? Because it feels like we are probably going to be seeing, our regulars of the building, the gut milk lady, everything that's going to be going on. Did somebody see or hear something that was going on? Because the whole thing about the incinerator where we had Oliver say, oh, the lights haven't gone on and off like this since people were allowed to use the incinerator and we've been told that we're not allowed to use it anymore. So he immediately made that connection. That means that Howard and Uma and Gut Milk Lady and Lester, everybody probably made that connection because they've all been living in the building for a long time.
Yeah.
And some little nosy bees like an Uma or a Lester, who's, sort of in charge of a lot of stuff, I would think would probably have gone down to investigate to be like, wait a second, nobody's supposed to be using the incinerator. Last time this happened, everyone, people were using it. There's a note, don't use it. So somebody did. So let's go down and find out what they're doing. I feel like we're going to get that.
Yeah. Like
we should get that.
My first suggestion, if, I was in the trio, I would be like, okay, let's go to Lester. Let's go to, the administration of the building, because it feels like this is something where a person or two is going to send a strongly worded message to the administration being like, I saw this person bring their garbage, and obviously says it's not garbage, but this person probably thinks
Right.
they were just burning garbage,
Of course.
and just be, I saw this person do this. They looked like X, Y, and Z. Go and punish them. Do this, do that. I think
I'm telling. There's
it-
always that person.
there is always that person, and I think that can be a clue that they pick up on. Now, if somebody is really nosy, this is the nosiness in the modern age, because in 2024 we all not all of us, but a lot of us like to be tattletales, but a lot of us are also cowards. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna like peek open the door a little bit,
And then write in an anonymous letter.
yeah, we're not going to confront anybody. We're not even going to sit there and look at them long enough that we actually have a clear picture of what they look like. And this is kind of the problem that could run in, is that, you know, Uma or somebody else may have realized that somebody was doing some of this, but their information may also be really inaccurate, and they may be remembering things wrong because they were mad. They may be like, oh, this person was 7 feet tall and had horns coming out of their head or something like that. So they're going to have to parse all that information.
The people with the horns in the head, they live in the West.
Sorry, that's also one of the goat people. I forgot.
Yeah, like I'm hoping that if somebody did decide to go and investigate what was going on down there, then it would be somebody who isn't just a peek around the corner. It's going to be Uma who's like, nah, nobody's supposed to be using the incinerator. I'm not having it. I was watching my shows and then all the lights went out and I missed the most important part where Luke and Laura got married. And now we're moving on. Who did this?
I was wondering what soap you were going to reference in the middle of that. No, I think this is going to be a really fun
That's an
episode.
old pull.
That is, in between that and Wanted, we're really
Right.
pulling for the modern day audience here. No, how much of the movie are we going to get in this episode? Because it just feels like we are back in the Arconia. Was the movie just like a little deviation, and now we're really focusing on what matters again?
Yeah, that's the kind of the biggest question I have. Now that they've signed away their life rights to the
Yeah.
movie, why are they would they be involved in the movie anymore? Like, sure, the three main cast members, you know, Eugene and
Yeah.
everybody would be like, okay, I'd like to spend some more time with you. I'm learning your character. Sure, all that makes sense. But like Bev Mellon and the writer that's listening in and the brother sisters and everybody else, why would this trio ever be back on that set again?
I don't.
They haven't signed them in to like be like a consultant or anything like that. And I kind of feel like if the movie was going to be as big as the play was,
Mhm.
as part of like a story, they would have been like, okay, not only are you going to sign your life rights, but we also need you to consult.
Yeah, like I feel like we're going to obviously see a part of the movie storyline again. We'll
course.
see some of the actors playing the trio again, but I don't think it's going to be jetting off to Los Angeles every episode. And
I hope not.
I know, I want to be in the Arconia. I want to see, you know, this odd collection of people we've come to know and love. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, like I liked seeing them in LA, watching them with all their in and out driving down the street. I
So
was like,
jealous.
oh my God, like it's so LA. It's like so fun. But at the same time, they got a murder
Yeah.
to solve and it's sad. So it is really personal. And if it was actually Charles as the target, and they're having like whatever over at the movie, they're like messing about
Yeah.
over at the movie, and they realize that Charles was the target, then I'm going to be really confused.
Yeah, you guys got to focus in now. It's
Yes.
cool. You got a movie being made about your lives, but also Charles's friend is dead, and it might have been Charles that was the target. So, you know, get priorities here, people.
Exactly. This season has been set up to be nice and complicated. Like
Yeah.
you said, we're only murders hard mode now, which is really fun.
Yeah, all right. Well, we will be back, of course. Like Jess said, tomorrow we have a theory video coming. The most likely suspects. We want you guys to check that out. You know, let us know all your theories in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. Slow horses, slough houses are coming, people.
Oh, it
I'm
is.
so excited. Okay, yeah, and if you guys want to support us further, join our Patreon. Link is in the description below. For $5 a month, you can vote on polls. Help us determine what the next show we are exclusively covering over there will be. Tulsa King, The Penguin, The Old Man. So many good choices.
Yep.
Thank you guys for supporting us so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you here next time.